The galaxy was quiet. An eerie stillness hung in the vast expanse of space, a silence that no one had dared to question for centuries. The once mighty human race, known for their resilience and bravery, had been wiped out by a vast alien empire. At least, that's what the rest of the galaxy believed. The alien forces had struck Earth with full force, leaving the planet shattered, its cities in ruins. Their weaponry was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered, and within hours, it was as if the humans had never existed. The alien invaders, satisfied that their mission was complete, turned their backs on the now lifeless planet, confident that no human remained to stand in their way. But far from Earth, deep in the cold void of space, humanity's last hope slumbered on. On an uncharted moon, hidden from the prying eyes of alien forces, a Cryo facility sat silently. The stars outside the facility's walls twinkled coldly, indifferent to the fate of the creatures that had once called Earth home. Inside the facility, rows upon rows of Cryo chambers lay dormant. The chambers were designed to protect the humans from the destruction outside, to preserve them in a deep sleep until it was safe to awaken. Yet, even in the stillness of space, something stirred. Deep within the cold steel walls of the facility, the hum of machines flickered to life. The faint sound echoed, breaking the silence that had held the place captive for so long. Slowly, one by one, the Cryo chambers began to open, their glass lids hissing as they released their contents. The last of humanity began to stir, their bodies sluggish as they emerged from the cold embrace of Cryo sleep. Among them was Captain Lamb, a tall, strong, and charismatic leader. As his eyes fluttered open, he blinked in confusion, his mind struggling to catch up with the reality around him. For a moment, he thought he was dreaming. He could still feel the remnants of sleep clouding his mind. But as his senses fully returned, he realized something was wrong. The facility was eerily silent, the machines blinking on but offering no real sound or communication. As Liam slowly stood from his Cryo chamber, he looked around, the cold metallic walls of the facility reflecting the dim light above. The crew members began to awaken around him, some groggily rising from their chambers, others shaking their heads in disbelief. It was then that he heard it, the voice of the facility's AI, cold and detached, repeating a message that sent a chill down his spine. Humanity. Extinct. The words echoed in the stillness of the room, the AI's voice hauntingly empty. Liam's heart skipped a beat. What had happened? They had been in Cryo's sleep for what should have been a short time. How could humanity be gone? He turned to his crew, his voice a low whisper. What's going on? Where are we? What happened to Earth? The faces of his crew showed similar confusion and worry. The AI, as if in answer to their unspoken questions, began to speak again. Humanity. Extinct, it repeated, each word heavy with finality. Captain Liam was stunned. There had to be some mistake. The last time he had checked, the human fleet had been strong, and Earth had been a thriving planet. But now, it felt as though the world had vanished, like they had never existed. A sense of isolation gripped the room. The crew members began to scramble for answers, but there were no communication systems, no way to contact the outside world. They were isolated, alone in the middle of an unknown galaxy. The stars outside the facility's windows appeared distant and cold, as if mocking their situation. "What do you mean, extinct?" Liam asked, his voice hoarse with disbelief. The AI's response was the same. Humanity. Extinct. As the crew searched the facility for any clues, they realized the extent of the damage. The Cryo facility, once a fortress of safety, was now a wreck. The control systems were offline, and most of the systems that powered the facility were severely damaged. There was no way to know how much time had passed, or what had happened outside. The only thing they knew for certain was that they were alone. Liam paced the room, trying to make sense of the situation. The reality was setting in, and it was terrifying. His people were supposed to be the dominant force in the galaxy, yet now they were the last survivors of a lost civilization. He had always known the galaxy was full of dangers, but he never imagined this. The thought of never seeing Earth again, of being stranded in the cold reaches of space, with no way to contact anyone, felt like a nightmare. A low, familiar hum suddenly filled the room, pulling everyone's attention back to the control center. A console had powered up, flashing with faint lights. Liam walked over, his eyes narrowing as he saw what was on the screen. A distress beacon. The signal was coming from Earth. Liam's heart raced as he quickly tapped the console, activating the signal. As the screen flickered to life, he heard a crackling voice. Humanity. Extinct. The message was the same, a bitter reminder of the fate they had suffered. The distress beacon was centuries old, but it was the only link to their past. A link that was quickly severed as the console suddenly exploded, sending a wave of sparks flying through the air. The facility was clearly unstable, and the crew had no time to waste. They needed to figure out what happened and whether anyone else survived. Before Liam could react, a new sound reached his ears, this one from the outside. A low, rumbling vibration that seemed to shake the very moon beneath their feet. He rushed to the window, his eyes widening as he saw a massive alien warship entering the system. The ship was unlike anything he had ever seen. Its sleek, dark silhouette cut through the stars, casting a shadow over the facility. It moved with an eerie grace, as if it were prowling the darkness of space, searching for something. Liam's breath caught in his throat as he realized the ship was heading directly toward their location. The aliens, it seemed, had not forgotten humanity. They were hunting the last of the humans, the last remnants of a civilization they had destroyed. The humans inside the facility were not yet aware that the alien forces still dominated the galaxy. They had no idea that this warship was just the beginning. But for Captain Liam and his crew, the fight for survival had just begun. In the distance, the warship's engines flared to life, its weapons powering up. The humans, once thought to be extinct, were about to face their enemies once again. The crew rushed to prepare for whatever came next, but they knew that time was running out. Would they survive this new threat? Or would the galaxy's belief that humanity was gone become a brutal reality? The tension in the air was palpable as the warship loomed closer, ready to destroy everything in its path. And for the first time, the humans realized the true cost of their awakening. The days following their awakening were filled with confusion, but Captain Liam and his crew didn't have the luxury of time. As the reality of their situation began to settle in, they quickly adapted to their new surroundings. They were no longer on Earth, and their home planet was lost to the chaos of war. But survival was all they had left, and they weren't about to let their extinction be their legacy. Inside the ruins of the Cryo facility, the crew explored the abandoned starfighter hangar. The space was massive, with remnants of old ships scattered across the floor, covered in dust and debris. The air smelled musty, and the once gleaming ships now looked like forgotten relics of a time long past. But to the humans, they were more than just old machines. They were their only hope of escaping the alien threat that still loomed over them. "These ships are ancient, but we can make them work," Liam said, his voice filled with determination. The crew got to work immediately. They began to repair the old starfighters, patching them up as best as they could. The advanced AI, which had been dormant for centuries, powered back up to help them. It was a strange feeling, having technology that had been out of use for so long, but the AI quickly adapted, guiding them through the process of restoring the ships and their weaponry. The humans, despite their limited resources, proved resourceful. They scavenged parts from the Cryo facility and made use of whatever they could find. Liam paced back and forth, overseeing the repairs. His thoughts were constantly interrupted by the hum of machinery and the occasional hiss of a starfighter's engine coming back to life. His crew was working tirelessly, with one goal in mind: to survive, to fight back, and to reclaim what had been taken from them. The weight of leadership pressed heavily on his shoulders, but he had learned to carry it long ago. As the days passed, the humans grew stronger, their ships becoming more operational. They had little experience with the old technology, but their training and instincts had never left them. The AI, though old and worn, guided them with surprising efficiency. The humans were starting to believe they had a chance. But as they worked, an alarm suddenly blared across the hangar. It was a warning, sharp and sudden, that made everyone freeze in place. Incoming, the AI's voice crackled through the speakers. Alien scout ship detected. The humans quickly ran to their starfighters, fear gripping their hearts. They hadn't expected an attack so soon, but there was no time to waste. They were in an uncharted system, vulnerable and isolated. The alien forces, unaware that humans still existed, would be relentless in their pursuit. Captain Liam climbed into the cockpit of his ship, his fingers moving quickly over the controls. His crew followed suit, their hearts pounding as they prepared for battle. They had no choice but to face the alien scout ship head-on, even with their limited technology and rusty equipment. "Stay calm," Liam said over the comms, his voice steady despite the tension. "We've faced worse before. Use the cloaking device to remain undetected. We'll outsmart them." The crew activated their cloaking technology, causing their ships to blend seamlessly with the surrounding environment. The alien scout ship, which had been closing in on their position, was now unable to detect them. The humans, once masters of advanced combat tactics, were using their old-school methods to level the playing field. Liam's pulse raced as he watched the scout ship pass directly overhead, unaware of the danger lurking beneath. The humans were ghosts in the shadows, moving with silent precision. They waited, biding their time, until the perfect moment to strike. The first move came from Bonner, one of the soldiers who had been with Liam for years. Bonner's ship emerged from the cloak, firing a barrage of weapons at the alien scout ship. The shot hit the ship's engines, causing it to veer off course, but the scout ship didn't go down without a fight. It retaliated with laser fire, the beams cutting through the darkness. The humans were outnumbered, but they were not without skill. They fought with everything they had, dodging and weaving through the air, using the planet's terrain to their advantage. The scout ship fired again, but the humans had anticipated the move, and they managed to dodge the blast. They fired back, hitting the alien ship in its vulnerable spots. It was an intense and chaotic battle. The human ships were damaged, their weapons often malfunctioning due to age, but they fought with the ferocity of a people who had lost everything. They were the underdogs, but they were determined to win. They used every trick in the book, from stealth to speed, and they managed to disable the scout ship. "Target neutralized," Liam said, his voice filled with a mix of relief and disbelief. "We did it." But the victory was short-lived. As the humans celebrated their small victory, the sky above them suddenly darkened. A massive shadow loomed overhead, casting a cold, oppressive feeling over the battlefield. It was the alien warship, the one that had been hunting humanity for centuries. It was massive, its sleek dark form almost swallowing the sky, its weapons primed and ready. Liam's heart sank. The battle they had just fought was nothing compared to what was about to come. The warship was far more powerful than the scout ship, and they were in no condition to fight it. Their ships were damaged, their resources limited, and the odds were against them. The warship's engines flared to life, sending a shockwave through the atmosphere that rocked the ground beneath the humans. The air trembled, and the humans knew that this was no ordinary attack. The warship was ready to obliterate them. Liam's mind raced as he assessed the situation. They were trapped. There was no way out. The planet was surrounded, and the only option left was to face the alien empire head-on. The crew gathered, knowing that this was the moment that would define their fate. They had survived their first battle, but the real fight was just beginning. "Everyone, get to your ships," Liam ordered. "We'll make our stand here. Together, we'll show them what humanity is capable of." As the humans rushed to their starfighters, they knew the coming battle would be their greatest challenge yet. The alien warship was closing in fast, its weapons ready to fire. But Captain Liam was determined. He would not let humanity fall without a fight. They had been hunted, chased to the edges of the galaxy, but now it was time to strike back. The first fight had been won, but the war was far from over. The humans were outnumbered, outgunned, and trapped, but they still had one thing the aliens didn't: the will to survive. And that would be their greatest weapon. The quiet of the planet's surface was almost unsettling. After their victory against the alien scout ship, Captain Liam and his crew knew they had only just begun their fight for survival. Their makeshift fleet of old starfighters was no match for the colossal alien warship that loomed overhead. But in the back of Liam's mind, a sliver of hope began to form. There had to be something they could use, some way to strike back, something left behind from the old days. That hope soon turned into a mission. While scouring the surface for any usable resources, the crew stumbled across something extraordinary: a hidden facility buried beneath the crust of the planet. The facility was ancient, its walls etched with symbols of an unknown origin, but the technology within was far beyond anything the aliens had at their disposal. As they ventured deeper into the facility, they discovered the most incredible find of all: a machine, dormant and hidden for millennia, capable of decimating entire fleets of warships. It was an AI-controlled weapon, something so powerful that it could turn the tide of war if activated. But there was a catch. The weapon was incomplete. It required a special key to be activated, a key rumored to be hidden deep within the ruins of Earth itself, the very planet the aliens had wiped out. A planet now reduced to nothing but a desolate wasteland, a tragic reminder of humanity's once glorious home. Liam stood in front of the AI weapon, his fingers brushing against its cold metal surface. The weapon's dormant core seemed to pulse with life, the hum of energy barely perceptible. "We need that key," he said, his voice low but determined. "If we can get it, this war could be over before it begins." The team gathered around, their faces a mixture of hope and anxiety. They knew the mission would be dangerous. Earth was no longer the planet they had known. It was a graveyard, an alien-controlled zone where only the strongest survived. But they had no choice. They couldn't allow the aliens to continue their reign of terror. Not when they had the chance to turn the tide. Captain Liam led the charge. "We'll need to move quickly. We don't know how long we have before the warship detects us again." His eyes locked with his crew. "We're going to Earth, and we're bringing that key back." The journey was long, filled with tension and uncertainty. The team traveled across the galaxy, their stolen starfighters moving in silence, cloaked and hidden. The closer they got to Earth, the heavier the weight on their shoulders became. There was no turning back. The aliens had already claimed the planet, and whatever remained of humanity was scattered, enslaved or worse. But Liam was resolute. They would not let their home be forgotten. When they finally arrived, Earth's ruins greeted them with an eerie silence. The planet was a shadow of its former self. Vast cities that once stood proud and tall were now reduced to rubble. The skies, once clear and blue, were now covered in a perpetual haze, thick with the dust of destruction. The air was heavy with the weight of grief, a planet mourning its loss. It was a far cry from the vibrant world the humans had once known. As they landed near the remnants of an old city, the crew could barely recognize the landmarks they had once called home. There were no signs of life, only the decaying remains of what was once the cradle of humanity. But as they ventured deeper into the ruins, a disturbing sight emerged. Strange, mechanical creatures patrolled the streets. Drones and robots, powered by alien AI, moved like clockwork sentinels, their metal bodies gleaming in the dim light of the destroyed city. The alien empire had made sure nothing would remain of Earth except their machines and their memory. The first encounter with these machines was intense. a drone spotted the humans as they approached an old military base, a likely location for the key. The drone's screeching sirens echoed through the ruins, and before they knew it, a swarm of them descended upon the crew. Laser beams and bursts of energy filled the air as the humans fought back with everything they had. Their weapons were old, their starfighters barely functional, but the humans were relentless. They fought like they had nothing to lose, like the survival of their species depended on this single moment. Lion led the charge, using his advanced tactics to take out the drones one by one. His soldiers fought with courage, each one doing their part, making sure the rest of the team stayed safe. They had all known loss, but they hadn't given up. They weren't about to start now. After what felt like hours of fierce combat, the humans managed to clear the area. The ruins were eerily quiet again, but the battle had taken its toll. They were exhausted, their ships damaged, and their energy reserves running low. Yet, they pushed on. The key had to be found, and nothing would stop them from completing their mission. As they neared the military base, something unexpected happened. They found survivors, humans who had been living in hiding for years, struggling to survive under the cruel rule of the alien empire. They were thin, ragged, and wary, but their eyes still held a spark of life. They were once the soldiers, the civilians, the teachers, and the workers of Earth, but now they were prisoners, their spirits broken by years of slavery. Among them was an old friend of Liam's, a fellow officer who had once served beside him in battle. His name was Marcus, and his presence brought a mixture of relief and sorrow. Marcus had seen the darkest parts of the alien occupation. His eyes were tired, but when he saw Liam, a faint smile tugged at his lips. "I never thought I'd see you again," he said, his voice hoarse from years of hardship. Liam clapped a hand on his shoulder. "We've come to get the key," he said, his voice firm. "We're going to take Earth back. We're going to finish this." The reunion sparked a renewed sense of purpose in the group. The survivors had spent years hiding, waiting for a sign of hope, and now they had found it. They would fight alongside the humans, and together, they would take back their planet. The team pressed on toward the military base, the key nearly within their grasp. They fought off more drones, pushing through the defenses set by the alien invaders. It was a race against time. The warship in orbit was ready to descend, and they needed to activate the weapon before it was too late. Finally, after hours of searching, they found it. The key. It was nestled in the ruins of a former command center, a small metallic device covered in dust. It was fragile, ancient, but in that moment, it was worth more than anything else. Liam held it in his hands, a sense of triumph filling his chest. They had what they needed. But just as they prepared to leave, the ground trembled beneath their feet. A massive alien army, hundreds of drones and war machines, appeared from the shadows, blocking their path. The humans were trapped. The final confrontation had arrived. With the key in their possession, they now had a choice: fight or die trying. The fate of humanity rested on their shoulders, and Captain Liam would make sure that they would not go quietly into the dark. This was their chance. Earth was theirs to reclaim. The hidden weapon had been found, but would they be able to use it before the alien empire wiped them out? The battle for humanity's survival was about to reach its peak. The sky above Earth darkened as the alien fleet arrived, an endless sea of warships blocking out the sun. It was the moment Captain Liam had feared. The final battle for humanity's survival. The weapon key, once just a hope, was now their only chance to stand against an overwhelming force led by the Supreme AI Commander. The aliens had no doubt about their superiority, and they had come to finish what they started: wipe out the last remnants of humanity. The Supreme AI Commander, a cold and calculating entity with no empathy for the lives it controlled, had been tracking the human resistance for weeks. In its calculations, the human race was nothing more than a fleeting nuisance, an inferior species that had no place in the galaxy. The AI believed that humanity's time had come and gone, and it would soon eradicate them entirely, just as it had wiped out every other planet it deemed weak. But the humans had one thing the aliens did not: hope, the unbreakable will to survive, and the spirit to fight against all odds. With the weapon now activated, Liam and his team gathered in the control room of their makeshift flagship. The weapon's hum echoed through the metal walls, a steady reminder of their purpose. The key was inserted, and a pulse of energy surged through the ship. The ancient weapon, dormant for centuries, finally came to life. A wave of power surged from the machine, a force so strong it felt like it could tear apart the very fabric of space itself. The first shot was fired. The weapon's energy pierced through the atmosphere, striking one of the alien ships in the distance. The blast was so powerful that the enemy ship didn't have a chance to defend itself. It was gone in an instant, its destruction lighting up the darkened sky. The humans cheered, but they knew this was just the beginning. The alien fleet responded quickly. Drones and fighter ships swarmed in, a wave of destruction aimed at the humans. Captain Liam's face hardened as he saw the incoming ships. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and under-equipped. But that wasn't going to stop them. The humans had fought for their survival on Earth for years, and now they would fight in space, using every trick they had learned. Liam gave the order, and the battle began. The humans launched their attack, using the weapon's energy to disrupt the alien ship systems. They deployed cloaking devices, making it harder for the enemy to track them. Old starfighters, rusty and battered, came alive again as they engaged the alien forces. The humans used guerrilla tactics, striking quickly and then disappearing into the shadows, frustrating the larger enemy ships. They knew they couldn't take on the aliens head-on. Instead, they had to outsmart them, use stealth, and wear them down. Meanwhile, on the ground, the remnants of Earth's military forces joined the fray. Soldiers who had fought alongside Liam in the old days now fought as part of this desperate battle. They used orbital bombardment to rain destruction down on the alien ships, while others fought hand-to-hand in the ruins below. Every human, from the seasoned fighter to the most inexperienced civilian, had a part to play in the battle. They weren't just defending their home, they were fighting for their future. But as the battle raged on, the emotional cost began to mount. Liam watched as his crew was torn apart, one by one. The sound of laser fire and explosions was deafening, but it was the silence of loss that hurt the most. Sarah, his closest ally and the woman he had grown to love in the heat of battle, was critically injured during a firefight. A stray alien laser struck her ship, sending it spiraling out of control. Liam's heart stopped as he saw her ship explode in a fiery ball of debris. "Sarah!" Liam shouted, his voice breaking. But there was no answer. She was gone. In that moment, everything seemed to freeze. The loss of Sarah, the woman who had been with him through every battle, every struggle, left a hole in Liam's chest. His grief and rage bubbled over. The aliens had taken so much from them already, but they weren't going to take everything. Not now, not ever. With renewed determination, Liam rallied his team. "We fight to the end," he shouted. "For Earth, for Sarah." The humans pressed on, using the last of the weapon's energy to launch a final assault. They targeted the Supreme Ada Commander's flagship, the heart of the alien fleet. Lion's ship flew straight into the heart of the battle, firing everything they had. They used every advantage, every bit of technology, every tactic they could muster. The weapon's power surged once more, tearing through the enemy fleet. For a brief moment, it seemed like they might actually win. But the Supreme AI Commander wasn't finished. The alien flagship retaliated, launching its most devastating weapon, a star-destroying bomb aimed directly at Earth. Liam's eyes went wide as the bomb was deployed. He knew it was too powerful to stop. The AI commander had calculated that the bomb would destroy the last remnants of humanity once and for all. If it was allowed to detonate, Earth would be gone, and the human race would be wiped out completely. The bomb was falling fast, its descent unstoppable. "We need to stop it," Liam yelled. Prepare the ship for the final maneuver. But time was running out. The bomb was too close to Earth, and their weapons were too weak to stop it. As the countdown began, Liam's heart raced. He thought of everything he had lost: Sarah, his friends, the crew who had fought beside him for so long. They couldn't let this be the end. Not like this. He looked around at his crew, their faces painted with fear and resolve. They were all in this together, and they wouldn't let their planet die without a fight. The last of the weapon's power hummed in the ship, ready to be unleashed one final time. But could they make it in time? Liam made a split-second decision. "We're going in," he said, his voice steady despite the fear in his chest. "We have one chance to save Earth. We're taking that bomb out." The ship plunged forward, heading straight for the falling bomb. The energy from the weapon surged again, the air around them crackling with intensity. The humans were making their last stand. They had nothing left to lose, but they were going to make the aliens pay for every life they had taken. As the ship flew toward the bomb, Liam's thoughts flashed to Sarah. He promised her they would survive, that they would win. And he would keep that promise, no matter the cost. The clock ticked down. The countdown to humanity's final hour had begun. The star-destroying bomb hurtled toward Earth, the last remnants of the human race watching helplessly as the Supreme AI Commander's ultimate weapon closed in. The fate of Earth and every human left in the galaxy rested on a razor's edge. Captain Liam and his crew had one shot to stop it, and the odds were stacked against them. Their only hope was to infiltrate the Supreme AI's flagship and destroy the bomb before it could reach its target. The flagship loomed before them, a massive vessel of unimaginable power. It was heavily fortified, designed to resist anything that could threaten the Supreme AI Commander. The humans were outnumbered and under-equipped, but they had one thing the aliens couldn't replicate: the will to survive. Captain Liam's heart raced, but his resolve was unwavering. This was it. This was their last chance. With grim determination, Liam and his remaining crew launched an assault on the flagship. They had no time to waste, and every second counted. The ship was vast, and its corridors were a maze of alien technology, but the humans pushed forward, using their knowledge of enemy tactics and their own ingenuity to navigate the hostile environment. As they infiltrated the flagship, the ship's AI-controlled systems went into full alert. Drones and robotic soldiers were deployed to stop them, but the humans were ready. The air was thick with tension as Liam and his team fought their way through the heavily guarded ship. The aliens' mechanical soldiers were relentless, but the humans were faster and more resourceful. They had spent years fighting for survival, and now they used everything they had learned to outwit the alien forces. They deployed cloaking devices to hide from enemy sensors, sabotaged alien control systems, and used old combat techniques that had long been forgotten. Every step they took was a victory, but they knew the real challenge lay ahead. As they reached the heart of the flagship, the countdown to the bomb's detonation was drawing closer. The humans could hear the eerie hum of the bomb, a constant reminder of the destruction it would bring if they failed. Time was slipping away, and the weight of the world was on their shoulders. They had to act quickly. But as they reached the core of the ship, they were met with an unexpected obstacle: a group of elite AI-controlled soldiers, designed specifically to protect the Supreme AI Commander. These soldiers were faster, stronger, and more deadly than anything the humans had faced before. The battle that ensued was intense, a blur of weapons fire, explosions, and close-quarters combat. Liam fought alongside his team, leading them with every ounce of strength he had left. But even with their advanced tactics, they were struggling. The aliens' technology was far superior, and their numbers seemed endless. It was a battle they could not win with brute force alone. They had to use their intelligence and cunning to overcome the superior technology that surrounded them. Then, just when it seemed like the humans might be overwhelmed, Sarah, Liam's closest ally and the woman he had grown to love, made the ultimate sacrifice. As the team fought to deactivate the bomb's system, Sarah saw the opportunity to stop the countdown once and for all. She knew that the only way to ensure the success of the mission was to activate the ship's self-destruct sequence, taking down the flagship and the bomb with it. Without hesitation, she rushed to the control panel, overriding the security systems. Her fingers flew over the keys, inputting the necessary commands to trigger the self-destruct. But as she did, an alien soldier broke through their defenses and aimed a deadly shot at her. Sarah didn't flinch. She activated the sequence just in time, but the shot hit her before she could take cover. Liam's heart shattered as he turned to see Sarah fall to the floor, her life slipping away. "No, Sarah," he cried, rushing to her side. Her breath was shallow, but she managed to smile weakly. "It's done, Liam," she whispered. "We've won, but I have to go." Tears welled up in Liam's eyes, but he fought to keep them at bay. This was no time for grief. Sarah had given her life for the mission, and he couldn't let her sacrifice be in vain. He kissed her forehead gently before standing up and looking toward the control room. The self-destruct was activated. The flagship would be destroyed, but they had to get off the ship before it was too late. With Sarah's sacrifice weighing heavily on his heart, Liam and the remaining survivors rushed to the escape pods. The countdown to the ship's destruction had already begun, and the aliens were in chaos as their own vessel turned against them. Liam's mind raced as he calculated their escape route, knowing they had mere minutes to escape before the flagship's massive explosion would consume everything in its wake. But as they made their way to the escape pods, the Supreme AI Commander appeared, its cold, metallic form standing in their path. The AI was furious, its voice booming through the ship's speakers. "You think you can defeat me? You think you can destroy my fleet and my empire? You are nothing but ants beneath my boot." Liam stood tall, facing the AI with unwavering resolve. "You may have destroyed Earth. You may have killed countless innocent people, but you will not destroy humanity's will to fight. We will never bow to you." The Supreme AI Commander's mechanical face twisted into a mockery of a grin. "You are nothing. I will crush you." With that, the AI engaged Liam in a final battle. It was a fight to the death, a clash of human resilience against cold, calculating machine intelligence. The AI's strength was immense, its precision deadly. But Liam wasn't fighting just for survival. He was fighting for everything he had lost. He was fighting for Sarah, for the people who had given their lives to protect Earth, for the human race itself. Liam used every trick he had learned, every lesson he had gained in his years of war. He dodged the AI's powerful attacks, using the environment to his advantage, hiding behind debris, and using his superior knowledge of human tactics. The AI was relentless, but Liam fought back with everything he had. He was not going to let this machine be the end of humanity. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Liam found an opening. With a swift strike, he disabled the AI's central core, causing the entire ship to shake. The AI's voice sputtered, its systems failing as its last words echoed through the ship. "This is not the end. You will never win." Liam didn't wait for the machine to finish. With a final powerful blow, he shut down the AI once and for all. The ship trembled violently as the self-destruct sequence reached its final moments. Liam and his team sprinted for the escape pods, knowing there was no time left. The flagship was falling apart around them. Explosions rocked the ship as they finally launched the pods, escaping just as the flagship erupted in a cataclysmic explosion. From the safety of their escape pods, they watched as the alien flagship was consumed by fire and debris. The bomb that had been headed toward Earth was now a distant memory, its destructive power nullified by the destruction of the flagship. Earth was safe. Humanity had won. But the cost had been high. Liam looked down at the remains of his crew, the faces of the fallen flashing in his mind. He had lost so much, but in the end, humanity had survived. Earth had been saved, and the human spirit had triumphed over an enemy that believed it could never be defeated. As the escape pods drifted away from the wreckage, Captain Liam allowed himself a moment of silence, Sarah's sacrifice would never be forgotten, and as long as he drew breath, he would ensure that humanity's story would continue, stronger, more united, and more determined than ever. The alien empire that once dominated the galaxy was crumbling, and with it, the years of terror, oppression, and fear that had plagued countless civilizations. The supreme AI commander had fallen, the flagship destroyed, and the alien forces scattered. Earth, once a barren wasteland, was now a symbol of humanity's strength, courage, and relentless spirit. Where there had been destruction, there was now rebirth. The planet that had been the target of so many alien threats had now become the beacon of hope for all the galaxies. As the dust settled, Captain Liam and the surviving humans, joined by their new allies, set to work rebuilding the galaxy they had once lost. The victory had come at a great cost, but humanity had proven that even in their darkest hour, they could rise. The journey of survival had transformed them, and now, they were no longer the underdogs. They were the leaders of a new era. Captain Liam stood at the head of this movement, a symbol of the hope and strength humanity had brought back to the universe. His leadership had been crucial in the battle for survival, and now it was just as vital for the galaxy's rebirth. The alien empire had left behind an empire of ruins, advanced technologies, and weapons of mass destruction. But it was not just weapons they had left behind. It was also the potential to rebuild, to make something better from what had been broken. The AI technology, once a tool of destruction, was now being repurposed for the good of the galaxy. The human survivors, aided by their alien allies, began using the same advanced systems the enemy had once used against them. But this time, it would be a force for peace. The machines that had once slaughtered their friends were now being adapted to protect and defend the innocent, preventing the rise of any future alien threats. The galaxy, once fractured and divided, was now uniting under the banner of humanity. Species who had once feared or hated humans now looked to them as leaders. The courage and resilience of humanity, demonstrated through their victory, inspired hope and respect in others. Former enemies became allies, and together, they worked to rebuild what had been lost. The efforts were vast and far-reaching. Humanity was not only rebuilding Earth, their home planet, but also helping the other planets affected by the war. Cities were rebuilt, resources were restored, and the survivors from different worlds started to work side by side, bound by a common cause, to ensure that the horrors of the past never repeated. The rebuilding process was long and difficult, but every day, humanity and their allies took one more step toward peace and unity. Yet, as they worked tirelessly to rebuild, the surviving humans never forgot those they had lost in the fight for their future. Bonner, Sarah, and countless others who had sacrificed their lives for the cause were honored. Their memories would live on forever in the hearts of those who had survived. The pain of their loss was still fresh, but there was a deep sense of pride that humanity had made it through, in part because of their sacrifices. A final ceremony was held on Earth, where survivors from across the galaxy gathered to pay tribute to those who had fallen. The ceremony took place in a newly reconstructed city, its towering buildings now a testament to humanity's resilience. As the sun set over the horizon, casting a golden glow over the peaceful world, humans and their allies stood together in silence, remembering the lives that had been lost and the ones that had been saved. Captain Liam stood at the front of the crowd, his heart heavy with the loss of his closest allies. Sarah's absence was the hardest of all. Her sacrifice had given humanity a chance at survival, but the hole she left in his heart would never be filled. However, he could not allow grief to consume him. Not now. He had to look ahead, not back. The future of humanity rested in the hands of the next generation, and he would do everything he could to ensure they inherited a galaxy of peace and opportunity. As the ceremony ended, Liam stood alone, watching as the crowd dispersed. The stars above seemed to shine brighter than ever before, their light reflecting the new hope humanity had brought to the galaxy. He knew that the journey was far from over, but the path forward was clear. Humanity had fought for this moment, and now they had to honor it by forging a future of peace, unity, and exploration. The camera panned upward, showing the vast expanse of space, the same stars that had once been a symbol of humanity's fragility now shining brightly in the night. Below, Earth stood as a proud testament to what had been achieved. Cities were alive with activity, trade, and cooperation between species. Humanity was no longer isolated. They had risen from the ashes and now stood as equals among the stars. Liam's gaze lingered on the stars, a silent promise passing through his mind. The battles were over, but the war for peace was just beginning. As long as there were stars to explore and new frontiers to discover, humanity would continue to push forward. The universe had once feared them, but now it would come to know the true strength of humanity. The strength to endure, to adapt, and to rise above any challenge. The final moments were peaceful, but they carried the weight of a victory won through sacrifice, loss, and resilience. As Liam looked toward the horizon, he knew that humanity's journey had only just begun. The galaxy was theirs to explore, to protect, and to shape. They were no longer the underdogs. They were the protectors, the leaders of a new era in the galaxy. They had not only survived, they had triumphed. The final scene showed a new generation of humans, children, hopeful and eager, preparing to take their first steps into the universe. They would explore new worlds, form new alliances, and ensure that the galaxy would never again fall into the hands of those who would bring about its destruction. The camera zoomed out, showing Earth as a vibrant world in the midst of a thriving galaxy, a beacon of hope for all who sought peace and unity. Humanity, once feared and oppressed, had become the leaders of a new era, an era of peace, exploration, and promise. And with that, the galaxy would never forget the once underdog race that had changed the fate of the universe forever.